My name is Jillian Dempsey. Can I get all the audience's names? Everybody just say their name.
Katie.
Amina.
Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Ben.
Hello, I am Jason.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to my speech today. Today, I'm here to talk about the human destruction of coral reefs. So, has anybody ever jumped into the ocean with their masks on recently to look at the beautiful coral?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, have you noticed that most of the coral is white now?
Yeah.
Well, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it looked like about 10 years ago, and this is what it looks like now. The white coral that you see is a phenomenon called coral bleaching. Coral bleaching happens when the water is too warm and not at its true conditions, and corals will expel the algae, its scientific name, zooxanthellae, living in their tissue, causing the coral to turn completely white, which means that they are under tremendous amounts of stress. The reason why I believe it is important to talk about the destruction of the coral reefs is for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is that coral is important to us is because they are a main source for tourist attractions globally, which will one day cause the economy of many places to drop due to the declining health of coral reefs. Another reason coral reefs are so important to us is because they protect coastal areas from erosion and large waves coming towards the shore. One of the main reasons coral is extremely important to all of us is due to the habitat it provides for the fish that we consume, which is linked to the reason that our fish supply is starting to run lower and lower in the fish market. I personally have seen the decline of health of the coral reefs throughout my childhood up until now, considering that I have gone scuba diving my whole life and I have seen the color leave the reefs. I have visited more and more each time I went. Because of this, I took a marine biology class in high school to learn more about why this is happening to coral reefs and how we can stop this phenomenon, which is what I am here to inform you about today. Some of the biggest things humans do to cause destruction to coral reefs is the contribution to global warming, chemicals used in sunscreen, and commercial fishing methods. Allow me to talk about the first largest problem in the world right now, global warming, which is not only affecting coral reefs, but for the purpose of my speech, coral is the focus. We all use electricity in cars, and we consume, which is something we all require to do. But by doing this, we cause many CO2 emissions to rise up to the ozone layer and destroying it, causing the circulation of gases in our atmosphere to make Earth hotter and hotter by the day. It is a proven fact. As you can see on this chart, since the 1800s, it has gone from pretty cold to pretty warm. Some of the direct causes for the CO2 emissions is the burning of fossil fuels from transportation, industrial emissions, and agricultural cow farts. You might be wondering, how exactly does global warming affect coral reefs? Well, it causes a lot of thermal stress on coral due to the unnatural increase of the ocean's temperature from the heating of the atmosphere. Here's some emissions. So here's a glacier melting. Glacier meltings cause sea level rise, which causes sedimentation in the ocean, which causes the coral to not get the proper amount of sunlight that it consumes based off of the certain type of light that it takes into the zooxanthellae. Another thing that global warming does is it causes ocean acidification, which is when there is an increase of CO2 in the ocean, which throws off the natural balance of CO2 that actually is supposed to be in the ocean, causing a stressful environment for the coral. The next big thing that humans do to contribute to the destruction of coral reefs is the use of harmful commercial fishing methods. There are many different types of methods that commercial fishers use to catch large amounts of fish at one time, which for the most part is not catered to the health or safety of our ocean. One of these methods, called prawn trawl fishing, is where fishermen use wide, long, weighted nets to scrape across the ocean floor to trap and catch any fish in its path. While doing this, the nets scrape and damage coral reefs in the process, not only scraping and breaking the coral, but also stirring up sand, causing the visibility and light to fog up the water and making it so that coral cannot absorb the proper amount of light. Another method of fishing is called dynamite fishing, where fishermen use sticks of dynamite to kill any fish in the surrounding area of the ocean by blowing them up and then retrieving them. I don't think that this fishing method really needs any explanation as to why it is harmful to coral reefs, except for the fact that they are blowing up coral reefs to get fish out of them. One more method, called cyanide fishing, which is used to catch aquarium fish, is when people go down and they spray cyanide all over the coral reefs, which is not good for the coral because it kills it immediately. Speaking of chemicals, we all use sunscreen. I bet you didn't know that most sunscreens you use to protect yourself are actually extremely harmful to coral reefs. A chemical called oxybenzone is a component in most leading sunscreen brands, such as the ones shown. This chemical is a skeletal endocrine disruptor in coral and also damages coral DNA, which causes deformities and growth anomalies. According to the Ocean Foundation, a single drop of this compound in more than 4 million gallons of water is enough to endanger these organisms. An estimated 14,000 tons of sunscreen is believed to be deposited into the ocean annually. Some good news about this is that there are some places that are starting to ban the use of sunscreen with this chemical in it, such as Hawaii and the nation of Palau, which has ruled these sorts of sunscreens as reef toxic, rightfully so. The sunscreens that are on the screen right now are very safe, don't have oxybenzone in them, so I recommend switching to this to protect coral reefs. Here is a video I would like you all to watch with me to get a better understanding of how this problem of reef destruction and global warming have a bigger effect on the world.
We've now had 3 major bleaching events on the Great Barrier Reef. In '98, 2002, and again just recently in 2016. We zigzagged along the whole length in a helicopter and fixed wing plane. We put about 100 people underwater. The extent and severity of this bleaching is off the chart. Typically, a bleached coral is nutritionally compromised. But this time around, we discovered an additional phenomenon. Many of the corals we surveyed were already dead. They actually cooked, and that's because the temperature
Already in 2016, severe coral bleaching has also been recorded across the Pacific Ocean, in Fiji, across the Indian Ocean, in the Maldives and the Seychelles, and even in the southern Red Sea. Similar events are predicted across the Caribbean and Micronesia. In a year in which the impacts of heat stress on the global ocean have reached unprecedented extremes. As the distribution of marine species continues to change, as storm surges continue to intensify, as sea ice and glacier melts accelerate, and as sea level rise and human displacement intensifies.
Countries around the world in Paris last year have committed to a rapid transition away from fossil fuels towards more sustainable, renewable energy.
Paris marked the moment when the world finally decided to heed the ever-rising mountain of evidence that had been piling up for years and began instead to galvanize our focus.
Il y avait une seule chose à réussir pour appliquer l'accord de Paris, c'est la réduction des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Pour augmenter la résilience de l'océan, il faudrait bien sûr lutter contre le réchauffement climatique, donc monter en puissance sur les énergies renouvelables, y compris les énergies renouvelables marines.
Yeah, so that was a cool video. No, we're not watching it again. So, as you can see, some of the biggest things humans do to cause the destruction of coral is due to global warming, chemicals used in sunscreen, and commercial fishing methods. Change in our actions must be made, not only for the benefit of saving the coral reefs, but also the health of the world. Some of the things that we can do in our everyday lives to reduce our negative effect on coral reefs is to start using sunscreen without oxybenzone in it. Examples shown previously for anyone who would like to take a screenshot. I can't go back. One of the other big things we can do, which is to reduce our carbon emissions, is to slow down the effect of global warming, is to reduce our use of transportation, reduce the meat consumption, and to stop using as much electricity in our day-to-day lives. To stop the terrible fishing methods, we can start to go fishing on our own, or start to buy fish from companies that don't use these methods of fishing to stop supporting these harmful commercial fishers. I want you all to think about when you have kids in 10 years. Do you want to tell them that the colorful, beautiful, lively nature of 75% of the world has turned to skeleton, that these beautiful organisms now haunt the ocean floor, covering it with the remnants of our ignorance and selfishness, that our actions are direct causes of the destruction to the habitat of all the fish in the sea, with a slight change in our daily life and a call to action for the way commercial fishers unethically fish, with the way we consume, and changing the way we protect ourselves from the sun we are causing to get even hotter, we can save the future for our coral reefs. Thank you.
Good job.
No.
Nice job. That was very good.
That was supposed to be the last slide. And thank you for listening. Any questions?
No, thank you.
No questions.
Okay, well, thank you, audience, for listening to me here today. I hope you learned.
That was really good.
Thank you.